Hello everyone, I'm Brigitte Maaßen. Summer is coming, so we should take advantage of the weather. Go to the beach, enjoy yourself. But when you decide to stay inside, turn on the air conditioner and turn on TV for Senior Moments. The program covers events and activities at senior centers in the Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti area such as Ann Arbor Senior Center, Turner Senior Research Center, the Pittsfield Senior Center, and the Ann Arbor Community Center. Also, the show provides valuable information for senior citizens on such issues as health, wealth, finance, and entertainment. You can watch the show on YouTube. Please log on to youtube.com/CTAnnArbor to view current archive shows. Well, whether you stay inside or outside, I hope you enjoy June weather and the Senior Moments show.
Hi, I'm Mitch with CTN. Did you know CTN is available on both Android and iOS platforms for free?
That's right. You can find us on the Cablecast app. Just look up CTN and all your favorite local programs are right at your fingertips. But that's not all. CTN is also on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. If this is for you, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Then navigate to the About tab for instructions on how to set it up on your device. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can watch our live meetings and all of our CTN-produced programs at youtube.com/CTNAnnArbor. So come watch CTN, where we aim to connect, create, and communicate.
Hello, welcome to Senior Moment. I'm your host, Brigitte Maaßen. Many people start something new when they retire, and creating art is one great option to enjoy their senior life. And some people even refine their skills and talents to a professional level, and creating their own art could become a very crucial part of their life. Today, we have Joan O'Connell, a multimedia artist whose art is now shown at the Ann Arbor Senior Center. Thank you for coming to the show and share your art with us.
Thank you, Brigitte. It's nice to be here.
Very good. And actually, one of the first things I always ask guests is they like to know something about you. Maybe you could give us a little bit about your background, where, you know, how you started and where you were born, or where you lived, and so on, so they know a little bit about you.
Okay. I want to start by saying that this art that I'm doing is relatively new. My very first creative home was music, and then I added on dance after I started studying at the university and discovered dance in a phys ed requirement thing. I went through the public schools in Dearborn, and what I know about most of everything I knew, I learned there and or at the university.
Did you go to U of M?
I did.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
wonderful.
Yes.
So you grew up in Dearborn?
I did.
Okay, great. I know you went well.
Okay.
Okay, very good. And then maybe you could talk about some of your paintings. And I know you do multi type of arts, and maybe you could explain some. But actually, earlier you told me you really came later in life to this. Maybe you quick want to say how this happened.
Yes. Well, my music and my dance, I was dancing for years and running a nonprofit and teaching and performing and having concerts, and then I lost a lot of mobility and needed to do something creative, and so I started doing things. I took the watercolors from the dollar store and just started swishing the water around and playing with the paint, and I thought, that's all right. But so I started doing that, and then I took another class and explored different media. I had no background. I have no idea what I was doing, but it was really fun. And if you listen carefully in the classes, you can actually learn something. So I recommend the free classes and the free drop-in Saturday art, or whatever you can come up with. It's nice. I tend to work by myself. I like to work by myself, but it's real nice to have other people there who are doing art also, and you can learn from them or listen to them or learn like that.
So where did you go to kind of learn all
So
this?
there's actually a group called Saturday for Art, which is just a drop-in thing. It's a Facebook group, so you could do that. I took classes at the Ann Arbor Senior Center. If you're a certain age, you can begin to have classes for free through the Washtenaw Community College.
Yes.
And there's a class, right now there's a watercolor class that Deborah Golden teaches at the Ann Arbor Senior Center. And there are some at the Pittsfield Senior Center. They're all over the place.
Right, yeah.
So look them up, talk to your friends. I went in very tentatively because I had no understanding of myself as an artist. And it was helpful to me just watching and realizing, oh, these people are just doing normal things and they're really having a good time, and there's no bar that we have to work up toward. And I eventually relaxed and enjoyed it a lot.
So you did it basically just for yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you give classes or?
Not in that. I do teach, but I don't teach art at this point. Teaching's kind of in my DNA. So if I know something, I'm likely to start teaching it. But right now, I'm not doing that. So.
Okay, because I maybe misunderstood. I thought maybe you were like teaching also, you know. But anyway, because I have some notes, so I won't forget anything.
Okay.
To, you know, maybe you would like to talk about the different media you do.
Oh, sure. This one here, this is paper and glue. So the term is collage, but there are a number of reasons why I love doing paper collage. One is because you automatically have access to, in magazines, 4-color glossy magazines, which is what most of us read, have the most amazing, it's a strong paper and it cuts well, and I actually enjoy the of the paper cutter. I love that. So if I set out to do some collage, I usually cut up a bunch of paper. You select it and you decide what you want, but then you start arranging it, which is way fun. And you can arrange it in whatever way you want. And in this one, I got a little carried away. I had a one-dimensional thing going, and then I thought, well, why wouldn't you just loop it and tape it here and here and see if it works, and then loop it the other way? And that's how I love to do art. I love to let it, I mean, writers talk about the characters leading them in the story that they're writing, but I love to let the material lead me.
Yeah, no, because, you know, when I look at it, it's almost like a sculpture when you really look at it.
Sure it is, because it's three-dimensional.
Yeah, because it's three-dimensional.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this.
I'm so glad you like it. This is called Playground, because by the time I got done and realized what kind of energy, if you will, I was bringing to it, I thought, well, this is very much like, you know, monkey bars and climbing off and doing things, whichever kind of child you are, but or not a child.
So since when? I mean, how long ago did you start this?
Well, less than 10 years ago. But I've been doing collage for a long time because I love to play with paper. Probably a long time. I think I remember decorating things in junior high, decorating the notebook, you know, we were supposed to use our binders.
So basically it was already, you
know.
Yeah,
I've been doing that a long time. But putting it on a piece of paper on purpose and calling it a piece of art is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe
Probably
you
10
brought
years
a couple other things.
Sure, I
maybe
did.
you could show us.
So this is actually a watercolor. And I'd like to talk about this because the frame and the mat and the backgrounds is actually fabric behind her.
Yeah, I see
All
that.
So to me, the art, this part that I painted is part of the process, but all the rest of it, how do you present it, is really important to me. I have a personal bias against what you'd have to do if it was in a proper gallery. You'd line them up and they'd all have black frames or beige frames, and
yeah,
you know,
right.
But I love to use colors. I thought that this lovely oak frame, which I bought in a secondhand store, just it complimented her. This is called Do I Know You? I wanted to give her agency. She's like coming to the door and having the agency to ask before somebody comes through her door, do I know you? Have we met? And in other words, no, you may not come in unless we know each other somehow.
No, it's really interesting, especially the way you explained it, because when I first saw it, I didn't realize it was the fabric behind and all this.
Yes.
I mean, it's very creative.
Yes. Well, yeah. The fabric, I just happen to have fabric because I also sew, but so I go through my fabric bin, as people do when they sew, and there it was. I said, oh, I'm very fond of diagonals, so the fact that fabric is on a diagonal is just part of what I do.
And then I think you brought some.
Oh, I did. You want to keep going here? So these are little sketches that I do when I'm on a Zoom call, or
those pencil?
This is colored pencil.
Okay, that's what I saw.
Yes,
yeah.
actually very, very nice colored pencil that was given to me by a friend. I was going to show you these because there are motifs I discovered. You know, when you take art history, you learn about motifs. There are motifs. Joan has a lot of swishes in her art, swishes all over the place. I don't know what this motif is, but the inclination to do circles and then reinforce them and then color them in and have swishing going around. Some of this I do in my church during the sermon.
I really like this.
You like this one?
Yeah, and also that kind of complements your
Oh, there we go. So
doesn't
put these
it a
up
little
together.
bit
Right?
like
Ta-da.
your collage.
Yes. So that would probably be because there's something like a motif going on. I asked one of the other artists, I said, oh no, I think I'm starting to have motifs and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
She said,
so
Joan,
this is also
these are all colored pencil that I'm showing you right now.
I see that,
They're
right.
just a sketchbook that so here's another thing I tend to go diagonally in multicolors and then I go and cut it up horizontally just because it's fun.
Yeah, but still, it isn't like a mess. It's really like, very, organized at the same time.
Okay.
At least, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, sure. Why not? And then this is just like
Oh, I like that too.
but doing this, it probably takes an hour or so. You know, I'm listening and I'm sketching and I'm filling in, and there's a lot of my art it's like a self-expression, creative self-expression, or it's art therapy or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, that's what I do.
Okay. I think right now you have an exhibit at the Senior Center?
Yes, the Ann Arbor Senior Center in Burns Park.
Right.
We have two in Ann Arbor. One's on Plymouth Road, one is on Burns Park, and the Burns Park is where my show is right now. There are about 60 pieces of all different kinds of but this show is on the wall it was April, May, and June. So it's through June, kind of like the end of the last week of June. Don't run it all the way up to the 31st, 30 days in September, April, May, and June. I don't remember how many days in June.
Yeah.
But so yes, you can stop by. I suggest you call first because there's a lot going on in the Senior Center, and it's nice to be able to go through there without disturbing something else going
I
on.
actually familiar, and I also get their emails
There you go.
for their weekly programs.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Which is really nice,
That is nice.
and there's some very interesting and very, once you can definitely learn something,
Absolutely.
too. And I think the last time we had a young man who was about helping seniors with technology.
Oh, yes,
you
okay,
know,
yes.
Because you really because everything changes so quickly.
Absolutely.
So you really and if you don't have anybody who can help you, then
Yes.
you're really lost.
Yes,
So I know, and I walked over and actually checked it out. So
Nice.
so and so I have to go and see your exhibit.
Absolutely.
I was there several weeks ago, but when did you start having the exhibit?
Beginning of April.
Okay, no, I wasn't there
It's
yet.
noticeable because it's very bright and colorful.
Yeah, I
and,
know.
yeah, there's a lot of
Oh,
bright.
it's in a
colorful
big room when you walk in?
in the gallery room. Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah,
see,
yes.
because I'm familiar with it. Yes. No, I'm so glad you're here to show, and I think what is so wonderful is that all of a sudden you kind of, in your retirement, start almost like a brand new kind of career when you think about it.
So yes, I think that there is, to me, so I've done a lot of what they call recovery work, and we won't get into that, but to me that there's with the arts, there's a correlation for me of, I don't know how to describe this. There are the things that are emerging in yourself, like these things I call percolated patterns. And somebody asked me, why do you call it percolated patterns? I said, that's because it's like it percolates inside of you. And to me, in finding your voice or recovering from childhood neglect or whatever you have to do, when you can put together your recovery with a personal expression like this stuff, and not have any, it has to be thus and such or such another, oh my goodness, I feel like it's very life-giving. And that's why I'm doing it. And I think it takes a little courage, obviously, if you're doing something you haven't done, and there's a million people around you who are actually professional. Like, well, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, but I tell you, when I look at your artwork, I mean, to me it looks pretty professional.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, I just love your pencil drawings. They look just, I mean, they're ready to frame, and
Yes,
hang.
yes.
And I just absolutely love this.
I'm so glad. That's great. Thank you.
And I think you also do photography?
I do. So yeah, my theory about photography, I love to take pictures. That was so when I was doing my recovery work, which is another story, another day, I would go around with a camera And in order to slow down enough to warrant stopping completely while I was walking around, I would take a picture. Basically, so if there are people watching, who knows if anybody cares. But to me, I needed to justify stopping, and so I would take pictures. And I started to realize, oh my, there are so many beautiful things to take pictures. But, so we have collage, and we have pencils, and we have watercolor and acrylics. If something is unbelievably awesome, I don't want to try to necessarily reproduce it myself. I just take its picture, and then I can say, ta-da! You know, it's just naturally fabulous. And I'm not good enough to be able to do the light and the shadow and who knows what. People can do that. I can't do that. So I like to just take a picture and get it as big or small as it wants to be and be able to celebrate that beautiful, or I especially like textures. I spent a whole day photographing the ground. It had rained, and there are all these fabulous puddles in our potholes. Tremendous puddles. And I'm like, they were reflecting all this great stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that reflections carry color. I didn't know that. I'm like, I don't know what I thought, but I'm like, oh my goodness, that tree is in that puddle and it's perfect, and it's all this kind of nasty stuff all around from where the street isn't right. So I took a whole series of those because it's just so fun. And another day they did the tar in the street, and they made these amazing patterns. So I just go around and take pictures. I'm not going to try to reproduce that with paint.
Well, I think you probably have to have like a special kind of a feel for art too in order to see this. Some people, wouldn't even notice it.
Yes, okay,
where
sure.
you sometimes always feel like, wow, look at this, and I think that, well, that's how we are very individuals as people.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
they always say, what somebody's sparrow is somebody else's nightingale.
Sure.
I mean, how you see, but they say the beauty is in
the eye of the beholder.
Yes. So, and basically that's probably a lot of this art, too, because, and everybody, I mean, I don't think there's any bad art at all. It's the same with music. It's just, because I think did you teach music too?
I teach, yes, I teach sometimes.
And I think they probably might show some of your previous art too. Maybe they incorporated in the interview. I think.
Oh, maybe so. Yes.
I mean, at least I saw something.
Sure. Okay.
I don't know if because I remember seeing this, and I thought I was very impressed with some of the paintings you had there.
Nice.
You do a lot of the watercolors, and what is your favorite media?
I don't have one. It might be collage, just because it's very, very familiar. I love watercolor because I have no idea what it's going to do. I like that. I mean, there's a certain amount if you get the brush and the water and the paint all together in a certain way. But one of my favorite things is just to get the thing wet and pick my colors of the day and just swoosh and see what happens, because it's unbelievable. Watercolor is amazing. It does all this great stuff, and it asserts itself, and it blends, and it's like, oh, amazing. I love that. But acrylic holds its own and stands strong. And what else? This is fun. This is, if you get a proper pencil. I didn't realize that there are not proper pencils. So
what kind of pencils do you need?
Good ones. Yeah. So you kind of go a little farther down. You get off the bottom shelf and go up a little higher in the
So where do you get your art supply?
A lot of people give me stuff, which is nice. Or once upon a time, there was a store called Joanne, which we can't go to anymore. I asked my friends. So there are like online supply places. I won't name them all because they all would get credit. I'd have to get what do you call this? Compensated for that? Credit for that. But yes, you can find art supplies, and you can find supplies. There's a great store in Ypsilanti. I haven't even been there yet, but it's a smaller individual selling art supplies, and I think her stuff is very good, is what I've heard. So they look around, you ask people.
I think it's great you have here and share all your art, and especially you started later, like in your retirement.
Yes.
So that gives some people ideas, if we
Yes.
ever thought like, I don't think I ever thought about this, and
Sure.
and for some reason, I love art, any kind of art, well, especially paintings and music, but I never kind of myself tried to do something about it. And I often wonder, because you really had the initiative right away, kind of doing this. It must have been really inside of you. Maybe it's not in me. It's just maybe one of the people who just enjoys it, to look at it.
Well, we need people to enjoy it, don't we?
Yeah, I know, but I think I never had the inclination to paint or so. And I often wonder why. Even so, how much I enjoy art.
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, so I'm have to see why, and here I see, that gives you kind of some idea. And I sound like, well, maybe that's something hidden in me too, and I have no idea.
You can get your little dollar store watercolors and fool around and get some water.
I do have a granddaughter who is very artistic,
that will help, yes.
And I always admired her that she able, to do all this.
Yes, that's awesome.
So I can, talk to her and share, and she hopefully you can see also the program and see, what you're doing.
Sure.
But she's a very young girl,
Okay,
so
sure.
anyways, she has a lot. So I just wonder what else you think you would like to share with us, if there's anything we maybe didn't, you have your exhibit, and then, well, you already talked about how it affected and changed. Did it change your life?
Did it change my life? I would think it expanded my life.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, that
that's
thing
a good
about
thing. Yeah, right.
Yeah, because I don't know how to describe this, but I was gathering pieces. You know the book Michelle Obama wrote the book Becoming Michelle.
Right.
This is a little. My process has been a little bit like becoming Joan in that. For the reasons that I've been doing a lot of recovery, there are a whole lot of ways that Joan was not present, not invited, not allowed, all this stuff. And these little forays into just allowing myself to be who I really am and finding out what that is. Like, I discover myself while doing this art. I'm like, oh, who are you? I think that's an important part of our growing, and I don't pay much attention to the age thing.
No, me neither.
Yeah,
and I think you should always grow.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. But I think that I don't think it is necessarily peculiar to me to have stuff that kind of needs to be worked out that hasn't been worked out yet, no matter how old you are. But where that thing I was talking about, where you're able to connect your authentic self with your daily life, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like how you're living actually matches who you are, and that, like, if there's a goal in life, it's that is one of them. Somebody asked me, I actually have a sustaining faith in a loving God. This helps me a lot. It's part of the foundation of my world. But there's also been like crazy tragedies, which we also won't get into.
Yeah, sure.
Their life is very complicated sometimes. So how do you keep the boat right? How do you right the boat?
And you found this in your art.
I find it very calming and satisfying. I'm no fun in a class because I really like to sit by myself. And people make fun of me a little bit, but then
Yeah, no, everybody's very individual.
I think so. I think so.
Some people like to do it in personally in their own way, and some like to have need to have people around them.
Right.
So that's what makes us different. Wouldn't it be boring? We all would do the same thing. I think
it would be a little odd, yes.
Yes, it is.
There is a website. It's a very, 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 very primitive website that has past shows, present show, not a whole lot else yet, but that's because I'm not a web designer, but I'm trying to put my stuff out there. So,
you should maybe encourage people to go to the Senior Center and see your artwork.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's amazingly helpful to an artist to have people look at their work. I don't know how to explain that any better than that, because we're used to museums. Museums of people, half of those people aren't even alive anymore. But for a living, working artist, it's marvelously encouraging if people come to their opening. Or I didn't know this before. I had no idea. But then I thought, well, wait a minute. It would
So
be
who helped you with this?
Lots of people. I have a whole passel of people to help me. My husband, Patrick, is a woodworker. He does frames. Like, he framed a lot of the canvas. I have acrylic canvases. He made float frames for me to my specifications. He made this cool shadow box, which actually has wings on it like this so the light can come in. It's not just squared off. That's phenomenal. Patrick is extremely helpful. And there were probably 15 or 20 other people at the show, at the art opening, who I had been asking over the last year, would you please help me with this? Would you help me with that? And I wouldn't be able to do something like that by myself.
Are you also selling your art?
I am, yes. It's the things at the show have labels on them, and if people wanted to discuss something that wasn't in the show, they could talk to me. And I'm accessible by ways that we won't talk to online, but I will, I'm not going to give my email at this point. But
yeah,
yeah,
people can always find out,
it.
how to contact
Absolutely.
you. Right,
Absolutely.
right. I think we pretty much covered everything. What do you think?
Sounds fantastic.
Because I don't want to make sure that we didn't forget anything.
So a blank page. This will be quick. Here's a blank page. Because some of this is just self-expression and recovery, I approach it by saying, "Hey, how's it going in there?" to me. What's up? What are you feeling? What's going on? And then I select pictures or colors and media, for that matter. Medium, maybe I want paper, whatever. But if I'm sitting there and I have acrylics and I have a canvas, then I just have to say, "Hey, check in with yourself." It's a skill. Check in with yourself, see how it's going. And I might do something just kind of preliminary, warm-up-y type stuff. And then you wind up settling down a little bit and saying, "Oh, what do I actually want to paint about?" Which in my case is often abstract. But
yeah, I can see that on your work, right?
And I want to paint about that,
right?
And I want to paint about this, And so depending on how it's going, there's a lot of the music and the dance shows up. My friends tell me shows up in the artwork. It's not surprising,
right? Well, Joan, thank you so much for sharing all this, and I found it very interesting because I love art anyway. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much.
Coming, and sharing all this.
Absolutely.
And giving us, I learned quite a bit too.
Excellent.
So thank you very, very much.
Nice. Well, thank you for inviting me. Thanks to the producers and CTN people.
Yes, great. I think it's good for people, have this program.
Excellent. Yes, thanks for doing it.
Oh, very good. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Thank you for joining us on Senior Moments. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Brigitte Maassen. I wish you a happy Father's Day.